welcome to another edition of Hey Hey 5 and 5. I'm Larry Levin of the Jewish Light. With us today is Nancy Lisker, who is the director of the St. Louis office of the American Jewish Committee, one of about 26 regional offices that the AJC has around the country.
Yes.
Nancy, welcome, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
A lot has been made recently of some of the political issues surrounding Israel in this country, with some legislators trying to create a perception that one political party might be more supportive of Israel than the other. Do you see dangers in these kinds of public pronouncements? And what are AJC and other organizations doing in this regard?
Well, AJC is a non-political organization, and we feel that the best place to be for a Jewish organization is to stay outside the political fray. There's nothing to be gained by taking a political position, a certain side. Not only that, it is illegal for an organization like ours and others to take side. We can point to certain issues on one way or the other, but we do not take sides.
Energy security and independence has been a big issue for AJC, both in planning and in advocacy. How has that worked for you in terms of your daily work, and in what areas are you more hopeful or maybe less hopeful as far as American energy independence is concerned?
That's a great question. AJC has worked for energy independence and security for the United States for over 30 years, when it wasn't even fashionable.
Wasn't popular.
Wasn't popular. There were no electric cars. We started in the 70s with the first energy crisis in this country. Only 2 weeks ago, a large delegation of AJC lay leaders, headed by Henry Dubinsky, who is from St. Louis and who happens to be chair of our National Energy Committee, headed to Washington, D.C. and had high-level meetings with senators and representatives sitting on energy committees in Congress, and presented a comprehensive step-by-step plan that would help wean the United States from its energy dependence.
David Harris, your executive director, recently wrote an open letter to the so-called Free Gaza movement.
Yes.
That appeared in both the Jerusalem Post and the Huffington Post. And it talks about how those of us who follow such things know pretty definitively that the so-called liberation movement is basically an anti-Israel movement. My question to you is, how do you effectively break that cycle of disinformation? We
can't deny that some of these provocateurs have gained a lot of ground in terms of PR, and events like the flotilla last year and maybe next week, if they do what they're saying they're going to do, may gain them some points in the press. What we have to continue to do and never back down is to continue to talk at the highest level, but also at the grassroots movement, to decision makers, but also on a one-on-one basis. The Jewish community needs to stay informed, and what we find is oftentimes people are not informed of what's been going on. Each of us needs to be doing this with our neighbors, with our friends, with our family. We need to tell the story even on an individual basis so that people stay informed. We shouldn't underestimate the power that each one of us has to tell the story.
On a personal front, and as a representative of an advocacy group that sees much hate and misinformation out there often, it must be difficult sometimes to keep fighting the good fight. So what made you so impassioned in the first place, and how do you sustain that energy and that perseverance on a daily basis?
I feel I'm a passionate Jew, and I feel very passionately about America and about Israel, and this is a wonderful time for me to be working on this, because we have all the tools and all the elements to be successful. And so I see a lot of opportunity to be doing great stuff. And this is a wonderful time to be doing this.
Nancy, thank you so much for spending time with us. Thank you for joining us for Hey Hey 5 and 5. Till next time, so long.